everybody. Welcome to Enter the Paraverse. And I am here with my great friend, Julie Adreani, who is a psychic medium. She is an energy healer and a physical medium. I'm sure amongst other things, because she has a long list of accomplishments. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, everybody.
We all know Julie. We go way back, and she is just a wealth of knowledge. So I'm very excited to have her here. And she will be coming on hopefully multiple times because, like I said, she's a wealth of knowledge. So just to jump into it, I want to just briefly talk about how surprised I am by how many people in our field don't know what physical mediumship is. So I must say, yeah. Now maybe it's because when I started my journey on the road to being a professional, I was obsessed with everything. And so I wanted to know everything from like the very beginning, until current time. And so I just maybe I knew more than others, but I just want us to kind of educate people on what physical mediumship is and the use of it. Because I know some people may think, well, why do we need that? And it actually is really important. So I'm going to ask you, Julie, what is physical mediumship?
Well, physical mediumship is a type of mediumship where spirits will use the medium, and while using the medium, they are usually entrancing the medium, okay, to a very deep level. So they produce themselves, they can manifest forms, they can manifest themselves with ectoplasm, photoplasm, depending on how they're working with the medium. So with physical mediumship, everybody can see what's going on. It's not just like the medium giving messages that are being, impressed upon them, but everybody who is there in a seance room can physically see and experience what's happening.
Good. So yes, you brought up a good point. It's something, so whether you think you're a medium or not, you have an actual experience. So you're not relying upon a medium to tell you what's going on in the spirit world. You're actually being able to physically see, experience something in the seance room. So that's a really good point. And you talked about ectoplasm and photoplasm. For those who may not know what those two words are, I think a lot of people know what ectoplasm is, but they may not know what photoplasm is. Can you just tell us the difference between the two?
Yes. So ectoplasm comes directly from the medium's body. Everybody has a certain amount of ectoplasm in their plasma, in their bloodstream. So physical mediums have an extra amount to where they can produce a lot, and it can come out of any orifice in their body, ears, nose, mouth, wherever. And that is very sensitive to light. So that is why if there's an ectoplasmic medium, the seance will be in the dark. Now, a lot of mediums are working also with photoplasm, or both. And with a photoplasm, you can introduce more light. The manifestations might not be as fully formed or as solid, okay, but there's still so much to see. And you're working with energy. You're not working with the ectoplasm.
Okay. So would you say one is better than the other?
No. And it's up to you and your spirit team, how they want you to work. We're not in control when we are allowing that depth of, becoming a vessel. It's how your spirit team can work with you. you really, you're not the boss. It's how they can work with your energy and with your body to produce
Mhm.
phenomena, which could be materialization, could be levitation, all types of movement, um, direct voice, apportation. So there's lots of different ways, but there is, and it seems like when people are working with their energy, the photoplasm, it's a little quicker development. It doesn't take, well, people used to say it takes years, but
Mhm.
I feel like the times we're living in, everything is moving faster and everything's happening faster now,
I would agree.
100 years ago. So I work with both.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on things are moving faster. And I think it's because we have way more resources. We have the internet, we have Facebook, we have people that we can work with, where I feel like, at the time, when this first started during, the whole spiritualist movement, they obviously didn't have those resources, and they kind of had to rely upon their interaction with their spirit team, and kind of winging it as you would, so you said something that people may misunderstand, and I know what you're saying, but you talked about how we're not in control. But I just wanted to clarify that, just in case someone out there may think, oh my God, you may get possessed. So that's not what she's talking about. So if you could just explain a little bit about what you mean by not being in control.
Right. I mean, by allowing, it takes a lot of trust to sit for physical mediumship. You have to trust your spirit team and trust that they have you protected. I always start with protection prayers. And it's not like you're out of control. You're just allowing yourself to be led by your spirit team. And your spirit team is always going to take care of you. If you're working as a physical medium, there will be doctors, there will be chemists, there will be physicists, all types of scientific work being done behind the scenes, be it in addition to your regular guides and
Gotcha.
gatekeeper and all of that. You have a whole scientific physical team working with you.
Gotcha. Okay, so my question to you is, how did you find out that you were a physical medium? And I guess, how did you start the training once you found out?
Okay. Well, all my life I had physical weirdness. Okay. I had my first apport at 8 years old that was given to me by my grandmother. But at the time, I didn't realize what that, I mean, I knew it came down like out of the ceiling and landed on my left shoulder.
Wow.
And I knew it was from my grandmother. I was thinking about my grandmother and wishing she was there. And that's when I got it. I've always had a lot of telekinesis going on, lights, movements. 2013 was the first time that I noticed levitation happening with me. And
Wow.
that was actually the first year I started sitting in a circle. And I still didn't realize that was physical mediumship, because even though I had read about it and I loved all the Victorian pictures with the ectoplasm and the big trumpets, and I thought it was mesmerizing. I always was drawn to that. So I just think that when you're drawn to something, that you've done it before, so maybe in a past life, but it wasn't really, well, like I said, 2013, and about 6 years ago, there was an accident, and my son almost lost his life. He was pronounced as a near death, he was pronounced
Wow.
dead. Okay. And I just made a promise that I would do the work if, God would save my son's life. So that's really when I got serious about it. And
Gotcha.
I started keeping my promise to do things more publicly and to help people and help educate people. But it's not something I set out to do, but it's
Mhm.
kind of keeping that promise.
Gotcha. Now you said levitation. Was that in like, were you levitating while meditating, or like how did that come about?
We were sitting in circle and we all were supposed to write a billet. And a billet is like a little piece of paper, and we wrote down our intention in this exercise, and we all put our intentions, folded them up and put them in a basket. So nobody knew what our questions or intentions were. We had a choice of what we wanted to write. But when it came to my turn, and they said, okay, Julie, it's your turn. All of a sudden, and we were sitting in circle, but it was in a metaphysical shop.
Mhm.
5 bottles of essential oils came floating. They just whipped, not floating, but like they whipped off of the shelves and came,
Wow.
dropped right in front of me. And
Wow.
so everybody saw that. And actually that they were answering my question, because I had a question about someone I was doing some healing work with, and I wanted to know what essential oils or formulas I could use
Wow.
this person. And they dropped right in front of me and nothing broke. And they came from a
Wow.
long way. Some of them dropped on the floor, but they didn't break.
Wow. That's amazing. That is definitely a form of physical mediumship. Um
And
so
intelligence, because they gave
yes.
the answer and what I needed.
So I know people are going to ask, because you brought it up, without, mentioning who, did those oils help the person you were working on?
Yes.
Okay, because I know everyone's is thinking that. So that's great. That's awesome. I'm blown away by physical mediumship because of that. Not only the fact that those who aren't mediums get the chance to experience something, but like I think on a deeper level, we do mediumship or healing, but it just, when you experience it, it changes your life completely. We believe in spirit because we have our own interactions. But again, if you're not a physical, or if you're not a medium, now you have this proof that there's so much more out there than one that we've been told. But I mean, if this can happen, imagine the other things, the unlimited energy and love, that comes from the spirit world, and obviously, God, creator, source. So to me, like, that's because I've been asked, well, what's the point of physical mediumship? Because there's a lot of skeptics out there, what does it actually do for people? And my answer is, my God, if you've ever experienced it, you will never be the same. It is, if you have the wonderful opportunity to be with a highly educational, professional, and loving physical medium, you will have these experiences with their guides. You'll feel things, you'll hear things, smell it, and you just know that there's so much more. There's so much more, and all the things, and you can go on and on, but the things that we, are so hung up on in our daily lives just aren't as big as we make them out to be, because there's just so much more out there.
Right.
And like I tell everybody, I'm like, you have to, one time in your life, you have to sit for a physical mediumship circle. You just have to. It will change your life. And I've had the great opportunity to sit in a seance where there was healing. So there's the physical mediumship seances that, obviously you see and hear things, but then there's also those that include or incorporate hands-on type of healing, which I sat for, and to actually feel the hands of spirit. And I mean, these hands aren't like, the human hands. They are just the energy that runs through your body. But even the feel of the hands are just not like our hands. You just know the difference. It's so hard to explain to those of you that are out there. Obviously, Julie knows exactly what I'm talking about, but it's absolutely amazing. It's life-changing. It really is.
Yeah.
So what if there are people out there who wanted to start a seance, or just curious about the ins and outs of a physical mediumship seance, what do you do? Like, how do you set up a seance, or what do you include in your seance?
Well, first I want to just backtrack a little bit about something you
Mhm.
said. One very good reason for physical mediumship is because some people, they need more. They need to see, they need to
Mhm.
experience to believe. So
Absolutely.
a lot of times, there's healing in every seance, but yes,
Mhm.
specifically your guides will let you know if they want to do a specific healing seance.
Mhm.
And yes, when you are allowed to feel the hands, and I want to say that you never touch,
No, I did not touch.
you know, until you get permission to do that first.
Exactly.
Yes, because ectoplasm is very sensitive to light and to touch. And if you were to accidentally touch the ectoplasm, it could spring back so fast into the medium's body, it could cause physical damage, internal damage.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep. Good
So,
point.
and another reason for physical mediumship is for a lot of Reiki masters, Reiki energy workers, it's really nice to see how much energy and that things can move. When energy is directed, I mean, it's
Mhm.
so powerful. Chairs have been lifted and moved in rooms, heavy chairs. And there's no way that, if the medium's tied up in the cabinet and the
Mhm.
chairs
Mm.
are moving or things like that, that's spirit doing all the work there. So,
Thank you for bringing that up. The medium being tied up in the cabinet, which sounds a little raunchy, but let me explain.
and by the way,
So
the cabinet right behind me.
awesome. And you'll see that she has some ping pong balls on the table, and that's for, during the seance, so that, spirit can move them, and you can, see them. So again, physical manifestation. But there would be those, and I'll say skeptics, those who have never actually been to a seance. You think of Houdini and all that stuff. So people will say, oh, well, that's trickery, or that's not real, or whatever. But you bring a good point about the medium being tied up.
Yes.
So if you could talk a little bit about that, like, why would a medium be tied up?
Well, because there's phenomena happening and you want to know that it's not the medium doing it, especially if you're in a dark seance where there's an ectoplasmic medium. Now, in my mentor's case, which is Michael Shane, wonderful,
Yay.
internationally famous.
Check him out if you haven't. Oh my
Yeah.
God, he's amazing.
And by the way, there are classes, physical mediumship classes starting up again. Get in touch with me and I'll give you the details, or Kimmy can post.
Well, at the end of the show, we'll definitely put those details up for everyone.
Okay. But so in his case in particular, he sits and he is zip tied, the zip ties that construction workers use or electricians.
Mhm.
Zip tied each hand tightly to the chair, but he also puts his mouth full of water and then it's taped so that when the voice is coming through the trumpet of spirit, it's not him talking, because he couldn't talk and gurgle and his mouth, there's no way. So this is just to help the skeptics and show people that it is true phenomena happening.
Mhm.
It gives
Awesome.
a little more validity. People are allowed to come in before the medium goes into the cabinet, look all around under the chair. I mean, shake it a little bit, shake the curtains, whatever, fully check it out. So that only the chair and the medium are going to be in the cabinet.
Yes, I've been asked, oh, well, what if, it's the medium? And I said, well, usually tied up, have, water and then something over their mouth or either gagged. Well, what if it's somebody else, or there's some like a trap door or something? And I said, no, you really, you get to inspect, depending on who you're working with. But with Michael Shane, you get to look around the cabinet, which is, what's behind Julie. You get to inspect, see everything, everybody else, they're just, spectators. So there's, they're not in on anything or whatever. It is I mean, you just have to experience it. But, these things are done again for skeptics.
Yeah, there's a lot of protocol too. And depending on the medium, some mediums would ask that everybody join hands in the circle so that everybody's hand is busy. Nobody's hand is free to do anything if there's somebody thinking there could be something fishy going on. But another thing, it helps connect the energy. It helps with unification of the circle. So it's a win-win. So I like the idea of people holding hands. I know with COVID, a lot of people didn't want to hold hands, but we're moving through and on, beyond that. So I think it's a nice thing when people hold hands in the circle. But the protocol is very strict with physical mediumship. Everybody is searched, scanned before you enter into the room. There's no jewelry allowed, nothing shiny, belts, anything that could cause a reflection or damage to ectoplasm or the medium. And this way, you're all standing in line before anyone enters. So everybody's being searched and scanned. So I feel like that puts a lot of people at ease as well.
Absolutely. And what was I going to say? Okay, so that's the beginning of a seance. Now, take us through a typical seance, if you will. Like, what do you do? How do you start it? And you talked about the energy building. So how does that happen as well?
Okay. Well, first off, there's always a little bit of teaching, by the medium or the medium's team, giving them heads up about what's going to happen, what can be expected. Then, so the protocols are talked about, laid out, everybody gets searched, everybody gets seated. Usually the mediums like to seat people in certain places because they feel the pull from the energy, or they can see the energy, or to keep the room balanced. Then there might be a little more education depending on the medium, or just what to expect, setting intentions, talking sometimes about what their spirit team has told them. There might be something new that their spirit team is working on. So they can say, there might be this going on tonight, there might be that. So I think that brings down the anxiety for some people. There's somebody new. Of course, they don't know what to expect. They're going to be nervous, but that's energy. So we always ask, just come and be excited. Just don't try to focus too much. Like, oh, I wish my loved one would come through or materialize, because sometimes it could cause a block for it not to happen.
Yes.
So just to be open and loving, and always there are prayers first. There will be a circle leader, which Kimmy, you know a lot about.
I do.
And the circle leader will also, if there's anything else to be said or any other intentions or, anything else to be done after the medium is checked and tied and water in the mouth or taped, then the music starts. So there's always music in physical mediumship, or some type of singing or drumming or oming, because that raises the vibration. That helps the spirit team, because the spirit team is building almost like a dome around the room, energy. Okay. And this is what helps with the physical manifestation, the levitation, the spirit lights. You might see spirit lights and they're beautiful.
Mhm.
Sometimes you
Yes.
see spirit lights right before an apport will come in or before some sort of phenomena. Sometimes you see the lights going off in the cabinet. So usually the medium will sit in the cabinet with the curtains closed to build up the energy, almost like to condense it. So that is the purpose of the cabinet.
Cabinet. Again, I'm glad you brought that up, because I know some skeptics will say, well, they're, closing themselves off because they're doing something back there. But again, they're tied up. And when you're the whole seance is done, you see that they're still tied up. But again, what it's doing is, because there's usually a top on the cabinet, and it's pretty much not three sides, but the top, the sides, the front and the back. And so, like you said, it's building up the energy with that medium. And that's what a cabinet is used for. It's not to hide or conceal anything. It's to build up the energy. And like you said, sometimes you may have an apport. And could you just explain what an apport is? Some people out there may not know what that means.
It's a gift from the spirit world in easy lay terms. Now, they don't have to be jewels, but a lot of times they are, or crystals. And when they are crystals or any type of apport, they hold a vibration. It's the energy and the programming that go in the apports that make them so special. So they don't really have a monetary value, but they have a personal value to the person they are gifted to. It will really help them with whatever it is in their life that they need help with.
So it's I actually have them right here. These are actually apports from Michael Shane, which was amazing, by the way. But like you said, they may or may not have a monetary value, but I will tell you what, when you hold this, and I'm if I don't know if you can see, but I'm getting goosebumps right now just holding them, because they hold such a beautiful energy. And if you're lucky to ever receive an apport, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, like every time. And this is at least a year old that we got these, and I still I still get goosebumps when I hold it, because the energy is so strong. And I use them like when I'm meditating, and or just when I just need a little bit of extra healing. So it's really amazing, but it doesn't have to be crystals. It can be pretty much anything, correct?
Yeah, coins are, coins, even rosaries, jewelry. I've seen, huge pieces of jewelry. Could be feathers, could be very large feathers. I've heard of roses coming through. So it just all depends on your spirit team and the energy in the room and how they work with you.
Where did the apports come from, do you think? I've heard different, I've heard different answers. But in your experience, where do you think these apports come from?
Well, I know the ones that I have had happen in apportation in my seances have come from the Ascended Masters in Shambhala. So mine have been crystals or coins, silver coins, unminted silver coins.
Wow.
So, but they never take them from anybody, like they don't steal them, but
Yeah. I've heard that. Oh, well, they take them from someone else and give them to you.
no, but they can be dematerialized from one place. Say in the 1800s, somebody had a collector's jar of coins that they buried, in the gold rush, and they're still there. Nobody knows about them. So places like that, or how many treasure ships? How much?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Happened before we had a different way to get across the continents, right? So places like that.
That
So
makes
it's
sense. Yeah.
dematerialized from one place and rematerialized in another place. And everything can be broken down to the atom. When you think
Mhm.
that we know this,
Yep.
science actually helps physical mediumship because we know that everything can be broken down into an atom and that we are held together with, our bodies, and it's all energy.
Mhm. Absolutely.
There's really no solid physical matter. Everything is always moving, and so they just break it down, dematerialize it, and then rematerialize it through the medium's body, through trumpet, from thin air. The spirit lights start coming on.
Mhm.
I've seen the light happen in the hand, and then the materialization start building. So it just depends on you and your spirit team, how they can work with you. And this is
Absolutely.
why it's very important to sit. And this is the part that nobody likes to do because it takes a lot of time. Like I said, I was sitting for mediumship since 2013 in a circle. Now, that circle didn't last for years and years, but then I sat a lot by myself, not even realizing I was sitting, helping grow my physical mediumship.
Mhm.
To me, it was something I had to do. It was like my time with God, or my time where I could connect with my soul.
Mhm. Now, if anyone that doesn't believe in physical mediumship, I will say this. I met Julie in 2017, and we had like a little small circle that we didn't sit for physical mediumship, but it was just regular evidential mediumship. But I would see with my own eyes the flashing lights in her room quite often, actually. So you definitely knew that the spirits were working with Julie, and we still have a circle today, but physical mediumship circle, and like Julie was saying, I am the circle leader for that, and I have to tell you, we have had some stuff happen. It's amazing, amazing. So I'm definitely not a skeptic. I am definitely wide open on this because I've experienced myself, and that's why I say you should go out and experience something. Just be open. I say it's okay to be skeptical, but be an open skeptic. Experience things, and then maybe your mind will be changed. In our circle, obviously you have a circle leader, and the circle leader's job is one to make sure that the medium is safe at all times, because did anyone see the light flashing? Okay, you can't make this stuff up. Number one, make sure the medium is safe. Because there is the ectoplasm, you just want to make sure that the environment, and the sitters too, educating the sitters, making sure that they're doing what they need to do to help build that energy. And like Julie said, we do a prayer in the beginning. We sing, we have lots of music because that helps raise it. And then there's also a closing prayer. So there's always, that protection, but it's also allowing the spirits to know we're ready. We're preparing, and we're all mentally ready, and we're holding the space for the medium and for the spirit team to come through.
And they're ready, right? They never make us wait long, right?
No, they're
Fine.
let me tell you, they're ready before we even link up, because ever since sitting in this circle with Julie, I myself now experience lights going on and off. And, at first it's like, well, is it just this house? Well, I can tell you that I'm in another house now, and I'm still having those reactions. So like, the more you sit and the more you're open, spirit will meet you where you're at.
Mhm.
So Julie, before we kind of wrap up, what are some of the experiences you've had, one as a physical medium in your own seances, but also as a sitter in other seances?
Oh, wow.
I know it's a lot, so
Yeah. Well, the thing about myself, me sitting is, I don't get to experience it until, if we have recorded it, because we are, I have to say, an experimental group, highly experimental. We have recordings for the last several years that will blow your mind.
Mhm.
They will be released. We're working on that, but so the actual medium in the cabinet doesn't get to experience a whole lot. I mean, I can tell you what it feels like when I'm first going into the cabinet. I know that my team is there because sometimes I feel like I'm in a can of sardines first. And then I literally feel like I'm in a high up in a barber chair, and like, they hit the pedal and then you go down.
Yep.
So I know when I feel that, it's bye-bye.
Oh, okay.
So, but sitting as a sitter for other physical mediums, wow, it's really great because I get to see from the other side. It's amazing. I've seen spirit lights. I received through Kai Muga's mediumship an initiation stone, they called it.
Yes.
And it built, from ectoplasm up, and it's huge. Maybe next time I'll have some out here to show you, okay? But ever since then, that really did accelerate my physical mediumship. I used that stone like for scrying. I used it almost every day. I
Wow.
took it out and I used it like my crystal ball. I would, if I needed to see something going on, it was there. I see everything in that crystal. It's really amazing. But oh gosh, there's so much. I've had healings, materialized hands. I've felt the robes of the ascended masters graze the top of my feet as they walk through the seance room, giving everyone healing. I mean, you literally feel their robes, and that they're, in some physical mediums, in their seances, you can literally see.
Yep.
Okay, they're fully formed figures.
And if you've ever heard of shadow people, and I don't mean the scary shadow people, but what I mean by that is that how, like, you'll hear people say they're blacker than black. Like you can see that. So this is in a dark room. You can see like their outline. I will say I have seen it. It scared the crap out of me, even though I knew what to expect. And so the spirit started laughing at me because they're like, well, we told you that we were going to manifest. And I said, I know, but I'm just chicken shit. Like, that's just me. I'm chicken shit. But they did. And you could feel them walk by. You can see, especially if there's multiple spirits, you can see the different height levels, the different voices. Absolutely. You can literally feel them walking around in the room. It's amazing.
Yeah, feel and see. And there's so many of them. I was at one recently where the figure that manifested came around and took my hand and put it on their chest.
Oh my gosh.
Not only could I feel the hand, I felt the chest, the whole chest, because he literally took my hand a few times to, to feel the solidness of the chest. So, and also I love seeing the levitated trumpets. That's like my thing, because I think that's the one thing that I was always wanting to see from the old days, from the old pictures. You'd see those tin trumpets, and it's just amazing because there's a little bit of fluorescent on the ends. And so in the dark, you're able to see where it's going. I mean, I've been tapped by them. I've been tapped by drumsticks from the Native Americans. The drums have rolled around in between the sitters. I've been sprinkled with water, sprinkled with plasm. I mean, it's so exciting and fun. I mean, and really so validating, but it's a lot of fun too.
It really is, which helps the vibration, because spirit, they have such great humor. They're very funny. And so I too have had little children's spirits, and they'll like spit out water, and you're like, where the hell did that come from? Because there's no water in the room.
Right.
I've like a box moved. Again, these things all have like glow in the dark tape. So that way you see these things, because obviously, depending on the medium, you're probably sitting in full darkness. And so you're able to see these things. And, you know, the tape, the glow in the dark tape gives off light.
Yeah.
You know, very little in a safe environment, but I've had where they've had the glow in the dark tape, they took it off of something, rolled it up in their hands, and then you were able to see their hands, which was amazing, because it literally was just the hand to the wrist, nothing else after that. And I'm like, get the hell out of here. It's so amazing, it's so insane. You have to experience, you really do, because I don't think us talking about it is going to do it justice. Like, you need to be there, you need to be in that energy. The collective energy, the spirit energy is so beautiful. It really, really is.
And there's so many
Amazing.
forms of physical mediumship. There's precipitated art that can
Yes.
happen. You know, there's and with precipitation, there's so many different ways that it can manifest. So we'll probably talk about that another time, because
Yeah, I was gonna say, because we can get a lot.
there's so many different aspects of physical mediumship. But the one thing is, you know, seeing is believing, and even hearing a loved one's voice or a master guide speak and give information that
Yes.
no one could have known, or really, you know, really can help you in your life.
Exactly. With the physical mediumship, there's also, you know, the talking to spirit and hearing them, and they can also give you that opportunity to ask a question and to get validation for something, like I did, you know. So it's not always just, you know, seeing things flying around the room, or like you said, one of my favorites as well is watching the trumpet flying around, but also even hearing spirit talk from the trumpet, because you cannot mimic that sound. It
Yeah.
sounds like a voice coming out of a trumpet. So it's not like, you know, someone, you know, talking on the side of their mouth. It's this voice coming from the trumpet. But there's also, you know, talking to them and being able to receive answers, if that's something, you know, the spirits are willing to provide in that specific seance.
Yeah.
Haven't seen, you know, being the circle leader in Julie's seance, I've seen some amazing things. I've seen ectoplasm and photoplasm kind of go over Julie's face, and, you know, she goes from Julie to being, you know, a man with a mustache. You know, I've seen spirit orbs. I've seen you know, kind of like the mist. We've seen the trumpet move. That was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. And it was so many times too. And like she said, we actually have it on video. So we have proof. So this isn't something, you know, that we're, you know, trying to get over on somebody, because we're using it for our own group, but it's absolutely amazing. And the interesting thing is that whether you're in person or if you're doing it, you know, online or whatnot, you all like feel this healing energy. And for those who sit in a circle, you'll notice such great growth in your own spirituality, whether you're a medium or if you're just a person who's interested and wants to sit in there. I can say I've seen people who were kind of like skeptics but open, now start doing spiritual things. So it has helped them. It's helped all of us grow. Really amazing, absolutely amazing. So I really hope you get a chance to see Julie or Michael Shane or Kai. There's a bunch of wonderful physical mediums out there. We will
Gary Mannion too.
amazing. I yes.
Yeah. So there's
We hope to get some on the show if we can.
Yeah.
Um,
And I want to show you, because I'm wearing them. These are apports.
oh, beautiful.
We're through the mediumship of Michael Shane. And this one actually is not of this earth. None of the
Wow.
components, and this was from a master Sana Kamara. So
Wow.
and I can scry with this stone too. It's almost like a metal. It's not, none of the properties are from this earth. So it's
Wow.
just, it's amazing at what our multidimensional friends who come in, who are our guides or inspires, can help bring to give you proof of that life continues after death, that we don't die.
Absolutely. And I think that, first of all, that's a great way to end this, because ultimately, it's fun, it's great, but that's the goal, to really prove. A medium can sit there and tell you all these things, but in the day and age of, social media, skeptics will say, oh, well, you went online and got all this information, but there's no way you can fake physical mediumship when you're there and you're seeing it,
Yeah.
and that this isn't, some Houdini type thing. Like, this is proof of life after death, and so much more, so much more.
Yes, there is so much more, and that is a great way to end it.
And so, Julie, thank you so much for taking time to talk about physical mediumship with us. How can people get in contact with you if they want to learn a little more about you?
Well, social media is probably the easiest and quickest. Julie Adriani. I have a page, and I also have an active timeline that I'm always posting. I have a group that I host, and Kimmy helps monitor, Medium Mixer International. I love physical mediumship, so I'm always hosting and question and answer. So there's a lot of good free information on there, or you will see the advertisements for what's happening in physical mediumship, who's going to be visiting and things like that. And also, Spirit Photography is a page that
Yes.
came up with a little over a year ago, and it's for everybody. It's for everybody, but it's not for everybody because everybody doesn't agree. But signs and symbols of your loved ones showing themselves to you is a personal experience, I believe. So it's a place where people can feel they can post their signs from spirit that they get through photography.
And I've seen some really awesome some awesome photographs of spirit showing themselves to people. And what I find so fascinating about that page, what I love about it, is that these are just your average everyday people who don't, claim to be a psychic medium or a healer or anything like that, and they're just showing experiences that they've had with their loved ones. So definitely check out that page. Again, Julie Adriani. Check her out on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok.
I'm sorry, TikTok. I'm just putting my foot out there.
She'll be on there, don't worry about it. And then if you can just give us your website.
Julie Adriani, Spirit Medium, or ministerofangels.com. They both go to the same place.
Awesome.
Just my name, Julie Adriani, Spirit Medium, will take you there.
Absolutely. And we'll also put that up there for everybody. Thank you so much, Julie, for coming on. I just felt like we needed to talk about physical mediumship because so many people don't know about it, and it's absolutely amazing. So thank you so much for your time, and everyone have a good one. Thank you for being with us.
Bye, everyone.